So, first of all, I will quickly define sustainability, which is providing the needs of the future, the generation, without actually affecting the needs of future generation. And under sustainability, again, we have actually four aspects. Oh, God. Yeah, it's coming up. So we have environmental, social, and economical sustainability. And most of my talk would actually focus on social sustainability. And social sustainability is actually less spoke about compared to environmental and economical sustainability. So there's less emphasis on social sustainability as it covers social, economical, cultural aspects. And there's a definition of social sustainability, which is actually a process of sustainable development for successful places. But more focally, it's on actually designing spaces that provides a physical rim, infrastructure, and social amenities for where people work and where people actually live. So in order to focus on this, my talk would actually focus on these amenities and infrastructures, which is the road and the street. And I think it's clear, it would be good to actually clearly define the difference between the roads and the streets. So basically from the picture you could see a road is just an open place, where a street is where you actually have development there. But there is actually more to actually this when it comes to actually designing. Okay, some of the descriptions about defining a road is it connects places, there's higher speed, and it has simple design, whereas a street is more of a place where it's actually developed, which is buildable, livable by people. And it should have high complexity, high design, and high adaptability of people wandering around. Okay. Okay, and a very important question is when we have streets, so now we are actually leaving the context of road behind, so we are actually focusing on the streets. So now on the streets of Doha, who should take priority, people or the pedestrian users? And the answer to that is actually both. So the streets should be designed for both people and pedestrians in order to have a more social, developable society. And in the context of actually understanding more how to understand a street, from the beginning we started with a road and street, and then we came down to streets, and then streets are actually divided into two, where you find a more car-oriented and people-oriented. And if you can clearly see this, what actually differentiates between the two is on people-oriented, you have windows more closely to people, you have walking paths on the side, you could cross the road at any point in time you want, whereas a more automobile-oriented street is where you have large parkings, less windows, and no shading devices. So, in a definition made by Strong Towns 2018, some of the descriptions of how you define the people-oriented is actually the walks, the sidewalks, one of them, and also there shouldn't be a direct parking behind the street or in front of the street, and so many other of them. And you should find people actually on the street. Okay. Oops. So, the aim is actually to achieve a walkable street. A walkable street should actually encompass this amount of facilities, which was defined by QCIA 2015. There should be road safety, there should be easy access, there should be sidewalks, hilliness, navigation, safety, and smart and fun and relaxing. And basically there is an application which is called Volcanomics, which is actually used to actually find how walkable areas are. But currently, I think they exist only in New York and in London and San Francisco. But I think this should actually be available in Doha so you can be able to know areas which are actually walkable in Doha. Walkable in a context where it says, it looks at actually these key items, and actually it looks at how safe a place is and how close it is. And also another thing that it does is actually take reviews of people on each location. So you're not only getting statistics of what actually happens, but you're also getting the reviews of people who have previously used the place. Okay. And also, the advantage of having a walkable street is that you reduce the use of traffic because you have more people walking. It's healthy for people as well. And these are some of the items that you should consider in actually having a walkable environment. It should be connectivity, linkage, drainage, and safety and quality of path, and also the path context. But safety is a very key issue. Before you can have a walkable street, there should be an element of safety. Okay. I think it went back. Okay. Okay. And also there's a finding that says that when you have a lot of people walking on the street, the value of your property will actually increase. This is actually statistically found. So this means that the value of a property would increase not only based on its location, but even if it's based in not a very good location, the value of the property can still increase because you have more walkability around that property. So I think this is a very important aspect, especially for Qatar, where you have lots of properties, not only in high-end places, but you could actually increase their value because you have provided more walkability in that place. Okay. And some of the aspects to actually consider in order to actually find more walkable and sustainable places is you have to be able to provide shading, because Doha is very hot, so you need to provide shading for people to work in order for them to work. And also you need to provide safety from cars. I don't know if you've heard, but there is an effort in London where they are actually trying to pedestrianize Oxford Street and reduce all the red buses on the road so that people can walk freely and more safer. And also, when you have more walkability, the economy actually grows because now you have more people buying and selling and meeting people. And this is actually a very good aspect of social sustainability, because when there's more walkability, then more people meet, and they create actually a liminal space which allows boundaries to open. You have different classes meeting, people of different categories meet and exchange wood, which is very difficult for people to do if they were driving, actually. Okay, just a couple of examples of what actually is happening in Doha is if you look at the Corniche, it's a very nice place to walk, especially in Qatar. But there are some issues. Doha, the Corniche is actually located on the side of the water, and you have most of the development on one side. So now this is the problem. The problem is it might be easier for you to drive to the Corniche rather than actually walk to the Corniche. So there has to be an improvisation on how people can actually get there safe, even though it's safe, but you have to get people there first. So probably it's safer for you to even drive to a good walking place. One of the reasons is because issue of crossing. It could be actually safer for you to cross when you're under a traffic point of position. But when there's no traffic, it could be very difficult for you to cross because you have to wait for the cars before you can actually cross. What is required is actually pedestrian bridges. Because one of the characteristics that I named previously was that if you have a walkable place, you should be able to cross at any time you want. And that would not happen in the Cornish front. So you need to provide these bridges which people can cross without waiting for the traffic. And if that doesn't happen, then you would have people jaywalking. And what would happen is you will put more people at risk. Because if you created the Cornish for people to walk and then you're not providing accessibility for those people, then you're actually putting them in hazard. So these are some of the other challenges that we face. Actually, design matters. There's an issue of safety. So it's actually safe for you to drive on 60 miles plus per hour when you're actually on the motorway. It is very unsafe for you to go 60 miles in a built-up area, which now you have more people driving on a built-up area at 60 miles plus. And it's safer for you to drive 15 miles in a very narrow street where people walk and cross the road at any point. So there's actually need for these places to be designed carefully in such a way that people can actually use these spaces. And also, when you come to a point where more traffic means goodness for pedestrian workers, then that's a point where there's a lot of problem. Because pedestrians will be happy when there's congestion, especially on the Cornish. So now it's easier for them to cross at any point that they want. So once you reach this kind of position, then I think you're in actually a position that is not very comfortable when it comes to designing. Okay, driving culture also. I think here in Doha, when you're actually on a zebra cross, you would find yourself actually thinking twice before you cross the zebra cross. And technically, or in theory, once you are on the zebra cross, the driver should know that he's actually supposed to stop. But I think the culture here is different. I don't know if any one of you feel safe crossing a zebra cross, but once you go to a zebra cross, you usually wait to get contact with the driver. Is he giving you permission to cross? Then you will cross the street. But I think in theory this shouldn't have happened. Once you're standing by the zebra cross, people should stop. So I think this is a cultural thing that needs to change. So the zebra crosses are more safer with traffic light. Where there are no traffic lights, it's more dangerous. Okay. So some of the efforts are actually made in Doha. The Silver Road crossing, this is some improvisation that was made. I think there were a lot of accidents. I don't have the stats that actually happened here. So actually they have actually made an effort to produce a crossing there, which allow pedestrians to cross at any point that they want. All they have to do is to go to this position. And also there is some shading in places like the Sukwakif area, which is very good because you need shading to actually work. And also there are public transports in some places which needs to improve as well. And also there's an issue of culture. I think culturally people prefer driving than walking. So I think this culture has to actually improve and allow people to walk more. And in order to do this, then we have to actually design the places in such a way that people would feel comfortable to walk. And also an issue of the metro. The Qatar Rail Metro would be a very, very good development for the Qatar, especially in regards to the social sustainability context. So it actually links the north, south, west, and east, but this is where the issue is. If you look at where you have a train station, for example, inside Qatar University train station, you come from the north or from the south or from the east, and you find yourself in Qatar University, you might think it has taken you where you need to be, but I think more needs to be done, because you need to move from the Q rail station to your selected campus location. How do you get there? Well, this is my personal opinion. I would rather drive my car from wherever I am to come to Qatar University and go to my location than to go to the rail station and then walk, which would take me about 20-25 minutes most probably, with no shade and with little protection. So in this context, I think shading, shortest route, and also security for protecting people along the roads needs to be there to actually achieve this. So the Qatar Rail is good, but the niches need to be designed. So just to end it up, I'll just give you some of the proposed solutions. So the best one is you need to protect the pedestrians. Because if pedestrians don't feel protected, they would not walk. And also, there should be an awareness on improving the public on dangerous driving. And also, there should be shading, which could be temporarily indoor, outdoor, or semi-conditioned or conditioned spaces. And you need to also provide people with the shortest route, because people will never take the longest route to go from A to B. They would only take the shortest route. So you need to drive people towards the shortest route. And also you need to have walk appeal spaces, technically meaning that they need to go through point A and B, but there are some nice things that you would see along the road, then they would prefer to actually walk. And also, as I previously mentioned regarding the Qatar Rail, you need to redesign these small niches, the point between where you come out of the metro and you go where you need to be. If you don't design these pathways properly, then people would not actually go there. And also, the neighborhood design. The neighborhood design actually needs you to provide proximity with services around communities, especially residential build-up. You need to provide them with shopping services, hospital centers. I think, like, if you look at medical is not provided in each local setup, so you need to find these primary health centers very close by. You should be able to walk to your primary healthcare center. So, and then it make you easy to just say you don't need to drive always, because everything is around you. So these apps that you have could be used to tell you the best area where you could have walkable amenities around you. Healthcare is close by, school is close by, shopping is close by. And also encourage cycling by also providing cycling lanes and also protecting the cyclists as well. And most importantly, you need to fund the initiative. And to finish this up, I think there has to be, Qatar is actually proposing to be one of the top walled cities in the world. So I think they actually need to have this vision to create this kind of environment for people to actually work. Thank you for listening to my presentation.